Joining me now is another newsmaker, Surjit Bhalla, Executive Director for India at the International Monetary Fund. Professor Bhalla, appreciate your time. The RBI, in a report published in June, linked the precarious state of state finances to freebies, particularly power subsidies. And last week, we have seen how the Supreme Court has entered the debate. There has been, a lot of back and forth as well between various parties. Do you think time has come to stop freebies altogether?
Look, I think maybe the time had come a long time ago. Freebies do not have any place in a modern economy like ours and what we aspire to. Recall that I think it was 4 or 5 years ago when AAP came to power again in Delhi, and they brought in free water supply to everybody. As long as you consume less than 274 liters a day. And I had got into that debate. I had written that this was the average consumption for all households. Now, why in the world would you give free power to rich households? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I had said so then, and I say so again today.
What, according to you, constitutes good and bad freebies? Because that's what politicians are debating. What are the economic rationale and fiscal consequences, or is this debate more political?
First of all, a good freebie is a contradiction in terms, an oxymoron. Now, that doesn't mean that all subsidies are bad. If you have targeted subsidies, that is very good and efficient. Now, let me give you an example of what I think are targeted subsidies. For a very long time, I have been a major critic of both the PDS and the Narendra program, jobs program. Now, recently I wrote an article along with 2 others on saying how the PDS system had really helped India avoid the crisis for the poor. The pandemic, its worst effects were contained by not only providing those food subsidies, but also increasing them. Now, what changed? What changed was that the PDS system back in 2004 was reaching only 25% of the intended beneficiaries. And remember, at that time, everybody could access the PDS system. So that's an example of a very bad, non-targeted subsidy.
Then how do you look at this argument, Professor Bhalla, that Prime Minister Kisan, which actually gives rupees 6,000 a year to every farmer, is no different from Aam Aadmi Party's electricity subsidy to the poor?
Very good question. Look, the 6,000 rupees subsidy or income transfers, first of all, it is a more efficient form of subsidy than the going through the food subsidy, in-kind subsidies. That's the first point. Second point, should all farmers be getting that income transfer? No. Again, I think that started back in 2019. Perhaps every government tries out things on an experimental basis. I think we now have reached a stage where the bureaucracy is very efficient in targeting subsidies. We saw that with the food subsidies that we just talked about. So I think we now should look at income transfers to the poor, and the poor are no longer defined to be the 5% of the population, which the Food Security Act defined it as that. But I would think somewhere around 25%, a quarter of the population, and we do give them, whether they be farmers or non-farmers, we provide targeted income transfers to them. that is the way to go. So remember, what you want to do is to provide support to the bottom 25 and maybe the bottom third of the population. That's a political decision, but I don't think there is any reason for it to be more than a third. Then you decide on how much income support they need. Not in kind, just straight cash transfers. And that's a political decision, I agree. But the method of doing it is via income transfers, not via in-kind subsidies.
Okay. Professor Bhalla, last question to you, and I'm going to understand from you. PDS and Manrega, are these welfare schemes or not?
Well, let's look at the PDS system in a historical context, which has stayed the same, or the operation of that. The idea was back in the 1970s that we should provide food to the poor. And at that time, remember, the poor population was much, much larger than now. And it made a lot of sense to provide support to the poor. I have always been completely in favor of such a policy. So we decided, excuse me, to provide food to the poor, but we said, okay, now how do we provide food to the poor? We will buy the food from the farmers. Okay, we'll buy the food from the farmers. Now, the farmers need a fertilizer, so we provide them with fertilizers. And then we will provide them with free electricity, and all to provide food to the poor. Now, what happened? In 1985, Rajiv Gandhi correctly said that only 15% of these food subsidies reached the poor. Yeah. And I think he was being optimistic. So why not, listen, we identify the poor and we provide them with cash. We provide them with income. Now, I would think that even at that time, targeting by this method was much better than targeting by the method that we adopt.
All right, Professor Surjit Bhalla, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing your thought on this very important issue that is being debated in India. That's all from me. I'll be seeing you next Saturday with another episode of A Billion Ideas. Thanks so much for watching.